Welcome back to Historia!
Oh, what a wonderful day.
Yes, we are ready for this. We are doing something super exciting and something that's going to appear a lot, actually.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm Jamie.
I'm Kylie.
We're JK.
Yes. JK. But JK. No, but seriously. We're JK.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for this week because I love this topic very much, as you can see in the description of what we're talking about, but I'm excited.
Yeah, so this is going to be our first mythology episode, and we want to make this kind of a recurring theme because there's so much to mythology, and there's so many different kinds of mythology.
Yeah.
We have to start with Greek, obviously.
Oh, yeah, that's it's not the OG, but when you think of mythology, a lot of people think of either Greek or Roman mythology, but there's so much more. But just to get a little kickoff to mythology, we thought maybe doing Greek was the best.
Yeah, for sure. So be looking out because we're going to do a lot of different kinds of mythology. But we just want to go ahead and get started today because we want to get this information to you guys because we're so excited.
All right, so I'm going to introduce just the gods in general, or Greek mythology. So in around 400 BC, Plato, my man's, philosopher, he coined the term mythologia as being distinguished between imaginative accounts of divine actions and factual descriptions of events, supernatural or otherwise. So this came from a book actually that I have. I actually have physical sources this week. Would you believe it?
Woo! We love it.
So this one that I actually took this quote from is from the Illustrated Encyclopedia of World Mythology. So it has pretty much every mythology that you can think of. It has ancient Greece, Rome, Egypt, Persia, India, China, Norse, and Celtic. Freaking love it. It's very minimal of what they teach you. They just give you the basics, but there's so much.
It's good starting point too.
It's an encyclopedia. Yeah, it's a great story.
We love it. We love to see a physical book. Jamie.
Exactly.
Incredible.
It's thick. It's really heavy. I don't know how much it costs. Probably a lot because it's soft cover, but it's kind of hard.
And then there's me on Google. Give me this information.
Well, you know how much I love my hardcovers or just physical copies.
Just a refresher, she's a history major, so.
I do love my books. The other one that I got today that I'm going to be taking a lot of my sources from is called Woman's Life in Greece and Rome. It's a lot of sources that come from ancient Greece and Rome, and it's phenomenal. They have a lot of the women that I am talking about today. It's amazing. It has actual sources. I love it. It's huge, but It's nice. It's very resourceful. Anyway, so when you think of Greek mythology, the ancient Greeks really respected their gods. And for a time, that's who they worshipped, held festivals, held rituals, sacrifices. They did everything. And you may hate that, but that was just how they functioned. Mm-hmm. That was their religion. That's how they got through life and how they saw the world. Which is a lot of them, though, that they fantasized their gods into stories. A lot of them you see are Greek tragedies like Oedipus, Antigone. You have the Trojan War, which is debatable, controversial. Did it happen? Did it not happen?
Yeah.
Achilles,
a lot of it's controversial. There's people who believe some stories, people who believe it differently. That's what I found.
There's so many sources.
Yeah.
And there's so many stories of how they perceive it. And that's why ancient history is really, really tough. Because they want to see who was the victor in the situation. But it's really hard to decipher this history unless there's physical proof. And a lot of the times it's hit or miss.
For sure.
But I just want to get into it. So today, I am covering Hades, Demeter, and Persephone.
Woo!
I'm going to introduce all three of the gods and goddesses. Well, the god and goddesses before I get into the story that circulates all of them. But I want to start off with Hades. So Hades, when you think of him, what do you think of?
Well, I think of Hades Town the musical because I'm just a theater nerd.
Oh my god.
So that's honestly what I think of.
I always thought of Hercules. No funny.
But yeah, Hercules.
I love that show. My tattoo on my ankle says I can go the distance because of, independence, but also
That's from
I
Hercules?
freaking love Hercules. Yeah, he says.
Why did I think that was from like? I know that song, but I thought it was from something else.
Really? And it's our birth year movie.
I need to rewatch that movie.
Disney.
I love the music.
Yeah.
I Won't Say I'm in Love, isn't that right?
Oh yeah, never
I
up.
won't say I'm in love.
So
I love
great.
that song. That's a good album soundtrack.
But my icon though for Disney Plus, when you first log in, my sister shares mine. Hers is Lightning McQueen. Mine is Hades, doing like a little smirk, and I love it. I'm here for it.
That's so funny.
He's funny.
Ours are all Star Wars characters.
Of course. Anyway, so let's get into Hades. So my man's Hades. His name means the unseen. But of course, Greek gods and goddesses are many names. But one that he was always called also was Pluto, giver of wealth. So he was the god of the underworld, realm of the dead. So for us, it's like hell.
Okay.
But they did not see him as like a bad guy or
right.
like we see Satan or the devil or
it's
whatever.
Different. Yeah,
it's different because they didn't have a heaven or hell. It's like you go to the different layers. You go to the different layers of the underworld, which I will explain further. But I want to talk more of just like his upbringing, kind of, because I'm sure you will cover it with Zeus, maybe, of like what happened.
With Hades?
No.
Or with
his mom and dad, his pa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll talk about that.
Yeah, so, because Zeus had a bigger role in it than any of
We'll get to
siblings.
Zeus, guys.
Yeah,
There's
Zeus
some strong opinions in this room
he is a man.
of him, but...
something. So Hades is the son of Kronos, and it's either Rhea or Rhea, depending on how you pronounce things. They are the Titan gods, so they absolutely help chaos, especially Kronos, because he was a jerk and ate his children.
Right.
But
casually, he's like, I'm just going to swallow one today, why not?
Casually, but then Zeus is like, bitch, please.
Right. Yeah.
But Hades was one of the ones that got eaten. So, but when they were finally released from Kronos, he was given the underworld, which he took. He was like, yeah, I'll do my best. Once Kronos pretty much like regurgitated all of the siblings.
Casual,
very
Once
casual.
again.
Hades was given the opportunity to take the underworld, which he was like, do my best, do it, got it, good, I'll take care of it. So, he is a man who is very respected by the ancient Greeks because they didn't see him as such an evil, dark entity that everybody is afraid of.
Yeah.
But they respected him, but they knew how powerful he is. And so, of course, people would be, like, terrified of him, but it was mostly for his power, not for his evil attributes that a lot of us would see today.
Makes sense.
But, so his siblings are Zeus, Poseidon, Demeter, Hera, and Hestia. So those are all like the Olympian gods. So when I say that there wasn't a heaven or hell, there was the underworld and Olympus. But Olympus was only for the gods.
Right.
There was no way you were going up there unless you
were high and mighty.
Like Heracles.
Yeah.
I believe he made it up to Olympus because he became a god. Anyway, so he received the underworld and he became like the ruler. So he is actually not the eldest. The daughters are actually older than him. Zeus, I believe, is the youngest. He was like the middle child. He was a middle dude, misunderstood, dark, emo child. So, he was a pretty...
middle school?
Yeah, me in middle school.
That's a sight.
But he was a pretty chill and fair god. He respected you, respected his job as the underworld lord. But you did not want to cross this dude. Like, he was intimidating, for sure. Like, he had Cerberus on his side, which is a ginormous 3-headed dog who freaking guarded the underworld.
Hell no.
Like, you did not want to mess with him or cross him in any way. And, of course, people did. Mm-hmm. Because, that makes an interesting story. So, I want to I want to mention some of the myths that people have crossed him.
Yeah, let's hear him.
To show his power.
Okay.
So, the one that the first one that I'm going to mention is Pirithous. So, he was a man who tried to kidnap Persephone, who was his wife.
Oh my god.
You don't want to do that.
So, they're married, but he's wanting to kidnap her.
Yeah, so...
That's fun.
It's a interesting... There's a lot of incest going on.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? The gods don't care about DNA.
Right.
They're gods.
It doesn't matter. They get whatever they want.
So gross, though.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
But anyway, so technically Persephone is his niece.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Because Demeter is his sister.
Damn.
Yeah.
It really is just like a huge incest pool.
It really is.
Like the family tree is just all like...
It really interweaves. And they all get jealous.
Yeah. They're like, how dare you with our sister?
And unfortunately, there's a lot of rape situations. So if you're triggered by that, just so you know, if you do go further with reading about gods and goddesses of like Greek mythology or any mythology, rape is a
I'll mention it later
strong
too.
topic.
Yeah.
Yes. But so Pirithous decided to try and kidnap Persephone to make his wife, get the bait on.
You gotta kidnap him because it's not gonna listen any other way.
Exactly. But then Hades found out, got pissed, and was like, So he trapped him in the underworld. He was like, you cannot come into my realm thinking that you're gonna get away. Nah.
Oof.
So he was like, you're gonna stay down here with me.
He told him.
He told him. So the next one is Heracles, a.k.a. Rome counterpart, Hercules.
Woo!
Yeah.
He can go the distance.
He can go the distance. But if you read, I would love to cover, one of us to cover on another Greek mythology episode to cover Heracles because there's
definitely
a lot.
And I was going to, but then I realized how much information was on him, and I was like, that's gonna have to wait.
Yeah, because Heracles is different from Hercules.
Yeah.
As you should know. Even though Disney thought Hercules was Greek.
They didn't research as much as they really should have. But
it was the 90s. What do you expect?
Yeah.
But, so Heracles' big story is his trials, his 12 trials. Well, one of them was to take Cerberus from the underworld. Well, Hades found out and was like, bruh, what are you doing? Huh? Why are you trying to take my dog? He's the one who protects my underworld. And Heracles was like, yo, I'm doing these 12 labors. Help me out. Can you help me out?
Help a brother out.
Yeah, and Hades was like, okay, you come here unarmed. You bring my dog back safe and sound. And then I'll let you. So he's kind of like a mob boss, if you think about it. He's like, I'll give you something.
The OG mob.
The OG mob.
Oh my god.
So I wrote in my notes, good dog dad.
Mythology's a mess.
But he's a good dog dad. He's like, don't hurt my dog, please.
I mean, that'd be me.
But, Heracles didn't. He brought him back. Cerberus was like, yo, thanks for not killing me. And Hades was like, thanks for not killing him, because then I would have killed you.
You made a good choice.
Exactly. So the next one that I have for like his myths is Persephone, but I'm not going to talk about it right now because I want that to be the giant story, which is, ooh, that tea. I'm excited. There's so much tea.
There's a lot of tea.
So I also want to do his appearance of how their Greek statues are so beautiful. Like the marble, the granite. Oh, it is so beautiful. One of my favorites is it's either Roman or Greek. Oh my god, I took it. My teacher would be so upset with me.
Hopefully she's not listening.
No.
Don't send her.
I didn't like her. But I took an art history class, but my favorite statue is Nike, the statue of Ceramithus. It's in, I believe, they took it from Crete, and they put it in the British Museum.
Okay.
Oh no, it's in the Louvre. I want to go to the Louvre because it's there, and it's just like Nike's body with like the wings. There's like no arms because her arms and head were like cut off. It's beautiful though because it's just like how like I think it's marble, but how it's just like how these sculptors would just create these beautiful statues is phenomenal. But a lot of the ones that you would see for Hades he would have longer curly hair. He would always have a beard. He was always somber looking, kind of just like not happy because like you're the god of the underworld. You're seeing dead people.
Not a lot of them were very happy.
Well, no, you're living this like messed up life of incest. And
yeah, it's all mess.
You're just jealous because you're like, I'm elite. What are you?
Yep.
But so in a lot of his statues, he normally has Cerberus with him. Of course, Cerberus is like a lot smaller in like the statues because like imagine creating a statue of just a man and then a giant ass dog beside you. So it was normally smaller that you would see him, but they make him look cute.
Makes sense.
Right? So, and I just want to kind of like reflect on him in the underworld. So he's rarely seen out of the realm of the dead. You barely see him. Like in the stories that you hear of him, more than like a good chunk of them, he doesn't come out of the underworld. Like the only like real time that you see him was with Persephone. Or there, I believe there's another occasion, but so people who served him in the underworld, there were the Fates and the Furies. So they would pretty much help him get people through like the afterlife.
Yeah.
Or just kind of.
I'll talk about Fates later too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because Fates are like. But so there were 5 rivers that led to the underworld that people could take.
Okay.
But there was only so many people that could enter because you don't want to enter there alive because you're not leaving alive. But Hercules, he did because he was a god. He makes souls.
So they'd have to go different paths if they were going at the same time?
Oh no, you're dead if you enter that world. Because he would get pissed if anyone tried to leave. There was no way that you could leave.
So there's 5 ways in?
Yes, so you have the river, there was Styx. I think that's how. I apologize. German pronunciation. Greek pronunciation.
It's hard.
So hard.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Like looking at these, I'm like, oh my god. So you have Styx, or is this Sty?
Something like that. We'll take Styx. That works.
God, that sounds wrong. Acheron, Leith, Phalegon.
You turned to French again.
I turned to French again. I don't know why I always turn to
French.
French.
Goes to French.
Well, it's Phalegon.
But
and then you have Proctus.
Okay, I'll go down that one. That sounds fun.
God, so bad. So there was different regions of the underworld. You had the lowest region where the Titans were, which is Tartarus.
Okay.
So that's where all the bad people would go. Like
the Hitlers of the...
No, worse than that. Because the Titans tried to destroy the world.
That's fair.
So that's where they were kept, I believe.
The worse than Hitlers.
Yes. And then you had the fields of punishment were for, the Hitlers of the world. So those were the ones that committed unruly crimes.
Right, but more as intense as the other ones.
Yeah. Well, the Titans tried to destroy the whole planet.
Yeah. The Titans were, oh my god.
So, but then you had the Asphodel Meadows were just for regular people who died, just kind of
live their life.
Didn't
do anything too wild.
Going down that meadow, hanging out, being like, oh, afterlife, yay, fun. So it wasn't all bad. It's just where everybody went when you died. But then there was the Elysian Fields. Those were for, the righteous people, the heroes of the world. So, for instance, Achilles would be there because he was the hero to many.
Isn't that what you call the part of your ankle?
Yeah. That's where, because do you not know the Trojan War story?
I don't know. Maybe not all the details.
So the Achilles, he was a powerful Greek leader, hero. He would help the Greeks against the Trojans, but he died because Hector got him in the heel.
Oh!
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Okay.
Because,
so that's why we call
Hercules, Phil.
I thought I was going crazy because I was like, isn't that the name?
Yeah, it is, because that's where he got hit.
Oh my god.
And Phil and Hercules, I'm so sorry, I'm making so many Hercules references, but it's it fits.
Yeah.
He flicked him in the heel and the statue fell. Because he was like,
that's the weak spot.
Yeah.
That's a bad spot to get hit.
And that's why Hector did it.
Okay, it all makes sense.
Dude, freaking Trojan War stories. The Iliad is so big.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a huge mythology person, so you definitely know more about it than me.
Well, I took...
Yeah, I didn't pay attention when I learned it in school because I had ADHD and I was just like, look at the wall.
I don't think they even really talk about...
I remember one year we learned about it.
Really?
But I think it was middle school or something. Mm. And it was not a whole year, it was just a
short,
week probably.
Yeah. That makes sense. So, you had those... He had control of, all of those areas and fluctuated. So, of course, those were, the different levels of hell. And you wanted to be in the top 2 tiers, pretty much. So, but he had control over anything buried, pretty much, because that's technically underground, underworld.
That makes sense.
So, he became the giver of wealth, especially if you're burying, wealthy stuff, burying something into the ground. But, so, he was a very powerful god. His stories are not as, the one with Persephone is probably his most memorable. Mm-hmm. But he had a lot of shit going on because he had a job.
Yeah.
I feel like Zeus, even though he was, the high and mighty, what job did he have?
He just kind of, sat there and was like, women, come to me.
Exactly, but, Hades actually had a job.
Yeah.
He had to take care of the underworld.
Oh, that's true. He's a hardworking man.
I give him mad respect. So.
Hell yeah. Good job, Hades.
Yay. So, now I'm going to go on to my girl Demeter.
Ooh, Demeter, as we like to call her.
Demeter.
Demeter.
Sassy.
Yes.
God, I love her. Anyway, so she is a fierce lady. Mm-hmm. I respect her. I'm glad that everybody in Greece respected her. Because if you pissed her off, you're dead. Literally. So she is a Greek goddess of vegetation and fruitfulness. You know where I'm going with this.
She likes
agriculture.
Yeah.
Farming. You piss her off, that's gone.
Oh, she's taking away their food!
Yeah.
Oh, shit. That's intense.
Yeah.
Now I see, so they starved to death.
Mm-hmm. So she is the daughter of Kronos and Rhea. I love that name so much.
Rhea is pretty. Rhea.
Kylie thinks it sounds like diarrhea.
It's literally the last part of the word. Rhea is pretty, though.
I like that, too. So, but a lot of people, even though that most stories and sources say that she's a daughter of Rhea. Some think that she is the daughter of Cybele. But it's like back and forth because you know how ancient history is with them trying to decide something. Impossible.
Yeah.
So, she is most predominant. I can't speak. Oh my god, my mouth. She's associated with corn mostly.
Ew.
Oh, that's what they could grow. Or corn, any, like...
I know.
Pretty much any food, but corn is like a huge one for them.
Are you a corn person?
I like corn on the cob if you make it right.
How do you make it right? If it's not like, I know what you're talking about, that weird like texture.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, continue.
I don't like canned corn. I like frozen corn better, which is weird.
I get that. I'm just not a huge corn person. I'll eat it if it's mixed in something, but I've never I want some corn!
I like it in my ramen.
Okay, like the bowls.
A little cup of ramen.
That's fair.
Oh my god.
Yeah, okay. Anyway.
I got through college on those.
I went to college in a corn state, and I don't like corn.
Of course you don't.
Woo!
Oh, you saw it every day.
Jesus Christ. I did not even try to hold that one back. Alright.
Okay.
So they had corn.
Mm-hmm. But she had powers of growth and resurrection. But she also could take it away.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Imagine the power.
She had a lot of power. A lot of people I feel like don't really know Demeter because they think so much of like Hades, Zeus.
Yeah.
Because that's, even with like Percy Jackson, that's who they focus on. And I'm like, have you heard of Demeter? Like, she's coming in.
She's coming in hot.
Right?
With her corn.
She's crazy with her corn. She was so big and powerful and just really, really, like, the people of Greece respected her so much. She had festivals thrown for her.
Wow.
Yeah, and they would go on for days. Like, women would participate in these festivals by just dancing, singing, like, hymns and stuff. They would have, like, a bunch of food. They would like, kind of push the men aside, like, let us party. They would party for days. But they would also do, like, rituals and, like, sacrifices for her. I don't believe they were human sacrifices, people. I think most of them were animal. But, just so you know. But a lot of the most popular festivals that were held for her were the Thesmophoria. That one was once a year, which they would always, that was around autumn time. Or it was autumn or springtime. I think it was springtime because that's when Persephone was brought back to her. And then they have also the Eleusinian Mysteries, which is pretty much just a ginormous, like, contribute to Demeter, which is
cool.
Huge. So they held these festivals not only to give respects to her, but to ensure that there was fertility of the earth. Like, making sure, like, hey, we're respecting you. Like, make sure that, like, everything is going good, please. So, but she was a lady of fruits. Something, the festivals would go in order. They would have ceremonies for her. So they would go descent, search, and ascent. They would always go in those, like, types of ceremonies. So descent is like if they're losing something, they kind of reflect on that. Then they go, like, into a ceremony of, like, searching for something. And then ascent was like a rejoice for whatever.
Yeah.
And they did that for the story of Persephone. But, so her appearance, I just want to get right into her appearance, is that she is a very adult woman. She's very kind of like straight-faced because it's really hard to smile in a statue. But she holds, sometimes for most, like, looks or, like, statues of her, one hand is holding a torch, the other is holding a cornucopia because of vegetation. Mm-hmm. So what she gave to the humans were corn and agriculture techniques, so learning how to farm properly to keep the food alive, pretty much for them. So she taught men how to properly farm, and then especially teaching humans how to farm, gives her the greatest honor because she actually gave something to the people. Her love life, though, it's kind of sad because Zeus is being a dick again. So she only had one true love. He was a mortal prince of name Liaison.
Yeah.
Liaison. So she actually got pregnant with a demigod named Plutus. And for some other sources that she had twins, the other one being Philomeles, but I don't know, it's like back and forth. But of course, Zeus got jealous because he was like, hey, what are you doing? Why are you with another man?
Yep.
That's what he does. Murdered him.
That's what he does.
I was just like, are you kidding me?
He's the king.
And he murdered him by thunderbolt. That's not right.
Classic, though.
That's not right. So, of course, with Zeus, she had Persephone. With Poseidon, she had a horse named Arion, which is weird, but okay. And then with the Lord of Crete, Parmenor, she had a child named Eubulus. Of course, all those other ones, like, I feel like don't have significance as Persephone. Like, Persephone was her one and only.
Yeah,
like, she
for sure.
guided with her. Like, she was a goddess of vegetation and spring growth with her. Like, she helped her out. So, whew. So, while Persephone was gone, she actually took refuge in the palace of Celis. So, this was with the king. She dressed as an old woman and nursed, like, the king's two sons. One of them, Demophon, she wanted him to become a demigod, or to become a god. That didn't work out because, of course, like, nothing works out.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then the other one, she taught Triptolemus the divine arts in agriculture. So she taught him how to properly farm, like the god's way to do it. So he learned a lot from her and loved her. And she had real high respect for those two because she nursed them.
Yeah.
So she also has places of worship, so temples. Some of the big ones are Paros and Artron. They're sacred to her. Do not piss her off or freaking tear down one of her temples because
don't piss any of the gods or goddesses off.
She will act upon by starvation. So she did this actually to a king called Priapus, who tore down her temple to her, and she was like, bruh, okay. So she starved his people. Yeah, so don't piss her off because she will starve you, and there's no way that you're going to live through that. And it's slow. It's a slow death, too.
Oh. Can imagine.
Because you, go like 3 weeks without food? That's slow and agonizing. You start getting hallucinations and stuff. So, that's Demeter. Now we're going into Persephone. I don't have a lot on her just because she just has her one story, I feel like.
Yeah.
There's not a lot
a major story, though.
Yeah, a major story. So she's the goddess of spring growth, agriculture, vegetation. She is the wife of Hades. So she is the queen of the underworld. She lives 2/3 of the year up on land with Demeter because of the story, which I'll go into. I'm sorry, I'm just leading up to it. So her parents are Demeter and Zeus. So, of course, Zeus being adulteress.
Yeah.
Had a child with his sister.
Right. Fun times.
So, her appearance, she's normally robed very kind of like, she's shown as like an adult, so she is like normally like full grown. She's never portrayed as like a kid, so of course they never go into their childhood because like why would you? So she's often carrying a sheath of grain, so just like one of the long grain.
Yeah.
Stuff she'll just
I've
carry.
definitely seen pictures of that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of her. So, she acts as like this goddess of spring when she comes to her mother. But then when she's down with Hades, she has to be the queen of the underworld, which mad respect, because I bet that's hard, especially when you're away from your family for so long. So, her abduction, there's so many places that people think that it's at, but the most common one is Ulysses, which they would hold a lot of the festivals there, because they believe that's where she was abducted in ancient Greece. So a lot also worship to her that tied with her mother. So her children are kind of like all over the place. There's so many sources that say, well, in this religion, she had this kid.
Yeah.
In this religion, she had this kid.
Just whatever you believe.
Well, yeah, because one of them believed that she had a kid with Zeus, Dionysus.
Yeah.
But then in the other, like in the traditional one, that's not his parents.
Right.
So it's just like, it's kind of all over the place. There's Zagreus, Plutus that she had with Hades, and then Melano, which she had with Zeus too. But those are very, like, her children are very, like, insignificant, really, to a lot of, I'm not saying insignificant, but just not as, like, a powerful story or connection in Greek mythology.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So now I'm going to go into just the abduction of Persephone. Dun, 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 dun. It is crazy.
The abduction.
Mm-hmm. So, this is the tea. This is like family drama at the max level.
Like we just turned on a reality TV show.
It is.
All hell broke loose.
Oh my god, there's so much. So, this all started when Zeus and Hades had a little conversation when Persephone was just a mere child. They were like, hey, I'm doing stuff with my hands right now.
Yeah, she's using both hands to be both of them.
So Hades was like, yo, you got this new child. She's looking pretty fly for a child. And he was like, whoa, well, you can have a relationship with her if you'd like. And he was like, heck to the yes, I do. Like, I'll wait for now, but just so you know, I'm going to remember this. Like, I want your daughter as my wife. Jesus Christ. And Zeus was like, yeah, I got you, bro.
Can you imagine if that's how it was?
He didn't even, none of them told Demeter this.
Yeah.
So Demeter had no idea. And she just grew her child happily, just like showing her the ropes. She's like, you're going to take over one day. Like, this is going to be great. We're going to be a tag team. Hey, we're going to rule this earth. And so Persephone grew older. She became what I'm guessing as like a teenager or like a young adult. And she was picking flowers in a meadow in Ulysses. Ulysses?
Yes.
Good lord.
Just confidence.
Confidence.
You just gotta say with confidence.
But, so she was picking flowers, like, with a bunch of, like, her friends and stuff. She's like, oh, these are so pretty. Ah! But then, as she was picking flowers, Hades, which is very rare, came out of the underworld. I'm actually going to read a passage from the Homeric hymn to Demeter, which is the story of Persephone. It's like OG old story of the story of Persephone and Demeter and Hades. So, quote, this I picked in my joy, and the earth parted beneath me, and there the strong Lord, the receiver of many, leaped out. He came and took me away beneath the earth in his golden chariot, much against my will, and I cried out in a shrill voice, this, in my story, in my sorrow, is the whole truth that I tell you.
Oh.
Yeah. So this was her telling her mother, like, what happened, pretty much.
Okay.
I recommend that you read this whole thing because it's so freaking good, and it's kind of hard to read because it's old language.
It's from the women's book.
Yes, it's from my Women's Life in Greece and Rome. It's on page 279.
It's like a book club. Everybody get your books out.
I know, it's so good. I definitely recommend reading this book. It's so amazing. I read it in my ancient, or in my Women's of Antiquity. Love it. Anyway, So she pretty much, that was her of like Hades kidnapping her.
Mm-hmm.
He got impatient. He was like, okay, Zeus, I'm tired of her just living her life, picking flowers in the meadow, doing her stuff.
Yeah.
I want her now.
Ooh.
So he took matters into his own hand, came up above ground, and took her down with him. Now, she did not eat that entire time. This will become important. So, nobody knew where she was. Demeter flipped her shit. Because she didn't know about the situation or the deal that Hades and Zeus made. Mm-hmm. She was angry. She took it out on anybody in her path, pretty much. So, and eventually, like, she just was so distraught, so sorrowful. She was in vain of everything. She was just upset because her daughter was taken and she didn't know where she was. But there was one person who heard Persephone shriek. And this was, what's her name? Hecate?
How's it spelled?
Hecate.
Yeah, probably Hecate.
But they heard her shriek. But, so the effects of this became disastrous. So Demeter at first just looked all over Greece looking for her. Trying to look for her anywhere that she could. She was sad, angry, and then she made the mortal people pay. She completely turned the land into nothing. This is what was called Demeter's curse. Ooh. So she left all of the gardens and stuff barren to where there was nothing left. So no one could grow it.
That is a curse.
Yeah, it was a really bad curse. People were just like, oh, it caused drought, it caused famine, people were dying. It even started to concern Zeus because he was just like, he cares so much about his mortal people because he wanted to have sex with all of them that he was just like, this is getting extreme. Like, Demeter's she's not going to stop until Persephone. And he knew that, like, oh, shit, like, this was because of what I did. And, of course, he won't take full accountability of it. Finally, like, when, it wasn't even Zeus who came to her first. It was Hecate who finally came to her and was like, hey, I heard Persephone get taken. She screamed, like, this is real tea. Mm-hmm. And so, finally, they went to Helios, who pretty much can look into, like, all situations that have occurred, and was like, yo, so Zeus and Hades talked about this when she was just a child. Oh. And Demeter was like,
spilled the tea.
The fuck they did. She was so mad. She was like, you know what? Okay, I see how it is. So she was like, I'm going to create an ultimatum. You're either going to bring my daughter back, or this entire land is just going to be dead for all eternity, and you're going to have nothing left. And of course, Zeus was like, oh shit, I guess I got to step in and actually do something with my life. Mm-hmm. So he was like, yo, Hermes, my boy, can you go down to Hades and be like, yo, bring Persephone back up? Like, I don't want to do it myself.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, bye. And so Hermes was like, yes, of course I'll do it.
Anything for you.
Anything for you. So Hermes went down to Hades and was like, yo.
Demeter, they say yo a lot.
Yeah, yo. Demeter casts this curse. She's really pissed. Like, the whole land up there is just dying. You're probably seeing an increase in death go up. Like, I bet you're super busy, but we need Persephone back up there. Mm-hmm. He was like, I guess. But, like, okay. But I have this thing. I gotta go talk to her real quick.
Yeah.
So, it was then brought to Persephone a pomegranate seed.
Oh.
Yes, from the underworld. And he forced her to eat it. And she was like, okay, whatever, fine, I guess I will. But he still forced her to eat it no matter what. Like, bruh. So when they got up to the top, up onto land, Demeter was just so excited to see her daughter. She was like, oh my God, my daughter is back. I'm so happy. And then Persephone's like, yeah, that's my husband now. And she was like, the what? she was upset.
Excuse me?
And then Hades was like, yo, so she can't stay with you for the rest of your life, I hope you know. And Demeter was like, excuse me? And Hades was like, she ate food from the underworld. So she has to at least come back eventually. And Demeter was like, oh, hell nah. No. And he was like, yeah, she has to. She ate the food. It's a deal. That's how it works. Persephone was like, Mom, I guess that's how it works. Like, I don't know what else to do. Like, I can't do anything else. So Demeter was like, fine. But she also had a trick up her sleeve that pretty much made everybody's life hell. And she wanted them to know it. So I'm talking about weather here, or the seasons. So, when Persephone comes back to join her mother in the spring, up until like late autumn, around like November for us or whatever.
Yeah.
Everything is joyful. It is great. Everything is alive and well and growing and prosperous. But when she leaves in late autumn, Demeter was like, I must show my grief and my sorrow to everyone, so everything will die. That is winter. So she, if you believe in this Greek goddess, which I will give my trust to her, because she is terrifying if she's real.
Let's not mess with her, guys.
Let's not mess with her.
Everyone believe in her, please? Thank you.
But she, pretty much, it's because of her that they believed that winter exists. And then spring.
I believe it.
Yeah. And
I
so
hate winter.
Yeah. So pretty much this was Persephone's story, which is very unfortunate. It's really sad because she was forced into a marriage with her uncle, which is
It'd be like that.
It'd be like that.
And the Greek gods and goddesses.
Yeah, but she was forced into a marriage. She was forced to eat food and be away from her mother. But she still lived her life. She still did her thing, but she became very respected in the underworld and above.
And we don't mess with her.
No, we don't. We don't mess with Demeter. I'm telling you.
God bless you, Demeter.
She is OG. She is a boss.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess with her. Anyway, so that is the story of Persephone. Abduction. So now let's get into the real jerk of the Greek mythology.
The asshole of the Greek mythology.
Yeah.
All right. Zeus. Dun, 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 lightning strike. Okay. I focus heavily on his love affairs because there's just a lot of tea.
There's so much.
There's going to be a lot of names mentioned. And if I pronounce one wrong, I tried.
Dude,
I looked up pronunciations before this on YouTube.
We did. It was really funny.
Tried to write them down. If I mess them up still, it's fine. Also, just keep in mind, like we've been talking about, like the sources are going to be different. So if I say something and you're like, well, it's actually this, we probably read from a different source, and that's okay.
There's so
mythology.
There's so many different ones.
Yeah. All right, so let's get started here with all the tea. Sip, sip. Okay. Zeus.
Ugh.
He was the Olympian god of the sky, so he is basically the king. He basically controls the weather, so a lot of things that are known for him with is like the sky, lightning bolts, thunder, all of that fun stuff. And he also represents law and order.
Really?
Yeah.
Which he never follows.
No, for sure, not at all. But yeah, so a lot of symbols you might see with him are like the thunderbolt. Mm-hmm. We see an eagle, we see bull, and oak. His look, the basic look that we see most often is that he has that dark beard, a long cloak. He's like, I'm so cool. And he's never far away from his lightning bolts. This guy, to sum it all up, had a lot of children.
Yeah.
And had a bad temper.
Did you count how many children he had?
I didn't get the total because eventually I just got so tired of writing their names that I was like, other kids.
Other kids.
So we'll get to a point where I'm just like, there were other kids, guys. I don't want to talk about him. He had a lot of children.
Oh my god.
That's all I'm going to say.
This dude, child support. My god.
Okay, so he was not always king. We talked about his parents a little bit. We kind of mentioned them. So he was son of the Titan king Cronus, as we talked about. And then we had Rhea. I'm not saying Rhea, because you know. But so he was the child of them. And so obviously Cronus is the one above all. And there was a message to Cronus that somebody would overthrow him. One of his kids would overthrow him, and that's kind of what led him to swallow his children. He's like, you know what? I don't want that. Let's just eat them.
Well, that's what happened to before.
Yeah.
Like, Cronus's father, it was the
yeah,
same
because
thing.
it was his dad. Right.
It just kept going.
So he knew. He kind of knew that was coming.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, let's just try to avoid it by just eating them. YOLO. So that happened. And that was kind of another, like, that was a prophecy, obviously. Like, you're going to have to keep getting overthrown. You cannot be king forever. So, eventually, they had to determine which one would become king. Now, Zeus obviously had this determination to be like, I'm king. And he was the most powerful, so they kind of knew from the beginning that it would be him. But this is where we kind of had him swallowing all of the children, and then Zeus obviously is the last one born.
Yeah.
And so he's born, and Rhea's like, let's just like pull a prank on Cronus. It's gonna be so fun. So Rhea decides that they are going to mess with him by pretending that I think it was a stone cradled like a baby, so it looks like a child, to give to Cronus. So Cronus would swallow that instead of the actual child. This guy ate a rock, thinking it was a child. What did you notice? The taste difference?
Probably not, because I don't even think he was a human form.
Yeah, that's fair. Because, like, I feel like he'd be like, I've had so many humans at this point, this does not taste like a human. But apparently rocks taste like humans, so.
Wasn't Kronos in Percy Jackson, too?
I think so. I don't remember watching that. I don't know. So.
I love Logan Lerman.
Oh, I forgot about that guy.
He just...
Yeah. Oh. Okay, so basically, they gave him this rock, and this kind of caused him to obviously get tricked, obviously, so Zeus is still alive, okay? Zeus is like, okay, we have to not comfort, we don't want to comfort him, we have to confront Cronus, so he basically gives him an emetic, which causes vomiting, so he basically wants Cronus to vomit up all of the kids, so he does exactly that, gross. And the kids are back.
Full grown.
Love that for them. Just, oh, look at that. We just popped right back out of our dad's mouth.
No digestion.
No. I mean, I guess it's better to pop back out that way than the other way, but...
I'm picturing it, and oh my god. This is like a full form coming out the butt.
A lot of form. They just keep coming out.
There's a lot of them, too.
And Rhea's just like, yay, my kids are back.
Oh my god,
like, she's like, hi, Poseidon, okay, so anyway, we have the three major kids who evolved from them. So we had Poseidon, Hades, we obviously already talked about them, and Zeus, to basically be the three that could overthrow him. Those are like the only options there. So
wow, the women couldn't, even though Demeter is like,
yeah,
I'm sorry, but I gotta give them that respect.
I know, for real, love that.
I gotta go to her festival.
So they didn't really want to fight violently, so they were like, let's just draw lots. They're like, that's gonna be the easiest way. We ain't gonna hurt each other because we just got vomited up. Like, what else could go wrong? So because of the draw, Zeus became the king. We had Poseidon rule over the seas, and Hades ruled the underworld, which we already talked about. I almost said underwear, but that's definitely not where he ruled. So, but yeah, like I said, even though he won the draw, obviously he was kind of destined to be the king and kind of overthrow him. So he ended up overthrowing Cronus. And Cronus destroyed.
Well, I'm pretty sure he was just taken to the underworld, wasn't he?
Yeah. But saying destroyed is
well, yeah. Well, yeah, you're like in freaking underworld for the rest of your life.
Yep. So now we have the king of the gods, Zeus. Now, Zeus had many wives, and besides his wives, he also had some extra lovers. And again, there was just too many names. Guys, if you want the whole list, look it up. But I only mentioned like a few affairs and then also his wives, the ones he actually married. So he married Medes, Themis, Eurynomi, Mnemosyne. I can say this one. Mnemosyne.
Mnemosyne.
Yeah, something like that. Leto and Hera. Okay. Metis was his first and favorite lover. Metis was a Titan goddess and the mother of Athena.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really, Athena?
Yeah, and that's one of those things that is mixed around.
Okay, because the one that I learned was that he was born from his leg.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we'll talk about that. I thought that was somebody else. Well, we'll get there. I remember writing that down. Okay, so after she had Athena, he was just kind of like, let's swallow her. I'm done with her. Dude swallowed her.
He's being his dad.
After giving birth. Yeah, I think he definitely learned from Cronus there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because he didn't want to... He knew that she was going to be pregnant again, and he didn't want to be overthrown by the second kid.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, let's just swallow her. Then she can't have another kid. Okay.
How does that make sense?
I don't know. But got out of that marriage.
Well, yeah. Did they actually have a proper divorce?
Who knows what divorce was like back then? I don't know.
He's like, bye.
He's like, I'm just going to swallow you. I think that's easier than going through court. And she's like, oh, that's fair. All right, eat me. Okay. Anyway, so that was, what's her name? Metis. And then he married Themis. So then he married Themis, which is the Titan goddess of tradition. They had 6 children together.
Lord.
They had the 3 Horais and the 3 Morais.
Wow.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about those. The Horais stands for hours. Okay.
Okay.
So it's the goddesses of the seasons and natural portions of time. So any really fractions that mean time in life is from the Horais. The Morais were the fates. So they were assigned to each person that basically gave them the fate. They could destroy an immortal, but once they made a decision on somebody's fate, it could not be changed. So they could not go back and change that. So obviously their fate makes sense, right? You can't really change that.
But there was like certain restrictions that they would have, though, right?
Yeah.
Because you would have to follow rules.
Right. I definitely want to look into them more because I think that's really fascinating. But
yeah,
kind of just worked out the key idea. So they had 3 Horais, 3 Morais, and then like he just kind of married somebody new. I don't know if he swallowed her.
Well, she had 6 kids. I think she was a little preoccupied.
Yeah. So I think he was just kind of like, you hang out with the kids. I'm gonna go marry someone new. All right. So he married Eurynomi. They had the 3 graces, which were brightness, joyfulness, and bloom. So kind of like the happy things in life. Woohoo! But then he was like, okay, Eurynomi's pretty cool, but like, I'm really attracted to my sister.
Of course.
Demeter, girl.
Oh, yeah.
So he's like staring at Demeter like, I want her. She did not want him.
No! He murdered her lover!
Right. It was totally fair, Demeter, girl. We're going to call her that now. That's her name.
Demeter.
No, that's disrespectful. I don't want to disrespect her.
She's going to starve you.
He raped her. They had Persephone. They were never officially married, but he kind of was like, we're married. Like, he like told people they were married.
She's just like, fuck you.
And she's like, oh, no, we're not.
No.
You're just a rapist.
So
yeah, she really didn't want much to do with him, but they had Persephone. And then he found a new wife.
Of course he did.
Which was Titanus Mnemosyne. That one's really hard to say. Which just means memory. Maybe I'll just call her memory because it's easier. She produced the 9 muses. So we had... I know, those are so fun. I'm just going to say what they are, and you can cover them later. Epic poetry, history, love poetry, music, tragedy, sacred poetry, dance, comedy. Fun things.
Yeah.
Love that. We gotta look into that more.
Maybe you should do them because you're just...
I know, I'm a muse. No, I'm just kidding. There were 9 of them because they slept together for 9 consecutive nights.
Oh my god.
So every night they created a new one. So it was like, night 1, we just created epic poetry!
Oh my god.
And then created history, yeah. But again, we'll talk about that like in a different episode because that just seems really fascinating. Okay. So then he ended up marrying Leto, his next wife. They had Apollo and Artemis.
Ooh.
Yeah, which again, those are big ones we gotta cover too.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch heavily on any of them because I know we're gonna talk about them later, so I'm just kind of giving you names, and you can just like digest the names and be like, okay, got it. And then if you want more information,
Look it up.
look it up or listen to our next mythology episodes.
Yes, or freaking get
Get the book.
encyclopedia.
Yeah, get the encyclopedia. So then, he kind of got bored of Leto, because obviously if you've noticed a theme, he marries somebody, has kids with them, and then he's like, bye bitch, and moves on. That's kind of him.
Is there a term for that? Because I feel like that's...
Player?
I guess, yeah. But, like, he actually marries them.
It's weird that he, like, commits to them.
I don't think he fully commits. He's just like, title.
Right, exactly. I'm married.
Okay, new title.
And then he finally becomes enamored by Hera, which is his permanent wife, and it's also his sister. It's like Utah stuff going on here. No. He knew. Like, Hera loved animals. Mm-hmm. Of course. She's like, oh my gosh, I love them. They're so cool. So, with him knowing that she loved animals, he turned himself into a cuckoo bird.
What?
Acted distressed. Like, oh, I need help. So, like, chirp, chirp. I don't know.
Chirp, chirp.
Cuckoo. Don't they actually go cuckoo?
I have no idea.
Okay, I think they actually make that sound, but I don't know. And so he, like, pretended to be, like, a really sad, sick bird and, like, laid in front of her. And with her loving animals, he knew that she'd take care of him. So she picked him up, brought him to her chest, and tried to warm him up because he seemed like he was kind of cold. And then Zeus was like, boom! I'm actually Zeus, and, like, turned back into himself. And then he was like, now I'm going to sleep with you. So he slept with her.
So it's like half bestiality.
Yeah. Yep. It's pretty pathetic. That's how he was able to get a woman, is by pretending to be a cuckoo bird.
Really?
Like, this guy is... Lord Jesus. Imagine him on, like, The Bachelor. He's like, what's your favorite animal? Okay. Turns into that. Seduces her.
Bachelor?
Oh. Anyway,
the Bachelorette? Or would he be the actual bachelor?
Well, yeah, I guess the Bachelorette.
I mean, he would be a bachelor, though.
I could see him on the show.
Yeah, let's sleep with every woman.
So then, after they slept together, Hera was like, I guess I'll marry you. But their marriage was not happy, and as we mentioned, a lot of the gods and goddesses are not happy. Zeus experienced a lot of lust, obviously, with other women, and Hera experienced a lot of jealousy. Again, because he's with other women, he's not taking their marriage seriously, and Hera does not put up with anything. Like, she's like... Oh, no, she's another one. You don't want to mess with her.
No, you don't want to mess with any of the goddesses. Like, they're have intense. A wrath of just...
Yeah.
They're very creative.
Right.
They're also very, very intimidating.
Yeah. So they ended up having 4 children. Ares, which was the god of war. He was one of the 12 Olympians, one of them that we'll have to cover. Hebe, which was the Greek goddess of youth and youthfulness. So, like, staying young, living your best life. Which she was known to be the most beautiful of the goddesses. Ooh. So if you look at pictures of her, she is really pretty. But that's kind of what she was known for. Of just staying youthful looking. So she left her role of cupbearer to marry Heracles. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Alright. Also known as Hercules, if you want to be Disney.
Roman counterpart.
Yeah, Roman. Don't get it mixed up. So then they had Lithia, which was the goddess of childbearing. So, like, pregnancy, having more children, all of that fun stuff. Then they had Hephaestus, which was the craftsman of the gods. So he focused on, like, metalworking, crafts, volcanoes, anything that really had to do with, like, science.
Yeah.
He made all the armor and weapons for Mount Olympus as well. So a lot of, like, the famous armor.
I think he was in Hercules.
Yeah, I think so.
He was making his thunderbolts.
Yeah. So again, they had those 4 kids. Now, obviously, 2 of them are sons. Zeus really didn't care for his 2 sons. Think about it. Doesn't want them to overthrow him.
No,
and he's like, I hate them. So we had Hephaestus that interfered in quarrel between them. So it was Zeus and Hera, they were arguing one day, because they argued all the time.
Oh my
It's a very
God.
toxic relationship.
Yeah.
They needed therapy, but,
Were they going to get it?
they're not going to get that from anyone.
No.
But one day Hephaestus was like, guys, what are you fighting about? Stop! And then he basically took Hera's side. Mm-hmm. Zeus ain't gonna be happy about that.
Oh, no.
So Zeus shot him down from the sky and crippled him forever.
Oh.
It's kind of funny, but he couldn't walk anymore. He's like, sorry, bud. This is why you don't take her side. You take my side.
Dude's a jerk.
I know. They're both intense, like Hera and Zeus, so I'm like, I don't know. I wouldn't take a side.
That's not a good duo.
Yeah.
No, you gotta stay out of those fights.
Right. So Zeus,
Sorry,
during...
That's my foot.
We put our foot in the same spot. Oh, God.
I got really long legs. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. It's fine.
I think I have room for you now on the seat.
It's funny. The two places I tried to put my foot, it was just your foot was there already.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Alright, so anyway, during their marriage, Zeus was like, I don't really like this marriage. I'm just going to keep having affairs. Why not? YOLO.
Hey.
So, obviously, because he's having so many affairs, like I said, Hera and him constantly fighting. Did not get along. She knew she wasn't as strong as Zeus. But she would use her power to destroy the other women. So anyone he had affairs with, she was like, and did cool things with them, and we'll talk about it.
Cool things?
Not cool things, sorry.
I know what she did
Intense
to
things.
Medusa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and I didn't even talk about that, but we can talk about that later. So, let's talk about his affairs and other kids he's had.
Oh, yes.
The first one being Medes. Now, she created Athena, which was the warrior goddess of wisdom and courage. We had Maya, and they had the messenger of the gods, and Hermes.
Okay.
Yeah, so they had a bunch of kids together. Now, some people think that he also had Aphrodite, but that's also one of those things that's like, people argue.
I can't remember who.
Yeah, I don't remember who the other option was, but some people think that he ended up having Aphrodite, the goddess of love.
There's no freaking way.
I know. I don't see how that's
Not
really
that
possible,
man.
but yeah, right. How do you go from being like the biggest jerk having the goddess of love?
No, because he's lustful. He's not loveful.
Yeah.
He's not full of love.
So that's a little sketch. That's a little sus. So then he had an affair with a Theban princess named Semele. She slept with him. And she was like, you know what, Zeus? I know you're powerful, but I actually want to see it. Like, I don't believe you're, like, this powerful being, so let's see what you got. So he went into his full power. And when he showed her how powerful he could be, she burned up. 'Cause that's how intense he was.
Oh, yeah.
So this is where I saw that he spared, because she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And so he spared the unborn infant in his thigh. So I saw that it was with her, but I don't know. And then it emerged into the vine god of ecstasy and wine, Dionysus. So that's where I heard it was from, but either way, at some point, there was an infant in his thigh, which is just like, okay.
Or maybe
That's
it
fun.
was I read that Athena came from, like, the side of his head.
Oh, maybe. Some other body part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then at this point, when I was researching, I was like, I know he had a bunch more kids, but I didn't feel like writing them down.
There's so many.
So he had a bunch more kids, a bunch more affairs. Now, there was one specific affair that he had where he just fell absolutely in love with this woman, and her name was Lo. And he seduced her under the dark clouds, so nobody else could see, and he didn't want Hera specifically to see. Because he knew, like, this girl, like, I'm genuinely love her, I don't want her to see. But Hera knew the whole time. Like, she could not be fooled.
No, you can't fool her. She knows everything.
Right. So, with that being said, she didn't tell him that she knew, but she decided to turn Lo into a cow. So basically it was like, I'm going to make you a heifer. It was like, and now she's a cow. Hera took it,
Mhm.
knowing it was her, and Zeus didn't realize that she knew it was her.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, yeah, cool, a cow. And then after that, so after she was like, look at this cow I have, super cool.
Mhm.
After that, she sent a gadfly to chase Lo around the earth. So this was like an insect that would just constantly like sting her over and over again.
Aww.
So that's just one of the ways that like she went towards the women to destroy them instead of knowing that she couldn't really destroy Zeus.
Did Zeus ever find out?
Eventually, yes.
And then I guess he was just like, okay, on to the next
Yeah,
one.
he at that point he's just like, all right, I guess I'm done with Lo. Whatever.
That's so sad.
Yeah. So she's just a cow like running away from this gadfly, like, help me!
Aww.
It's just kind of funny. Moo! Just, you know, what jealousy strikes again.
Honestly.
Now, Zeus might have gotten a lot of women,
Yeah.
but he was not always successful with getting the ladies.
Mm-mm.
He also fell in love with a boy once, like a younger boy,
Yeah.
that he abducted and brought up to Olympus to serve as cupbearer.
Wow.
So it wasn't all women, okay? And again, another way that, Zeus is not a good guy.
He's a pedophile too.
Yep. Yeah. So I just wanted to include that because obviously he did have a lot of lovers, but like that was a big thing that was like,
So before you name your pet Zeus,
yeah,
think about it.
look into it first.
Hmm.
Don't do it.
Name it Demeter.
Yeah, or Demeter, that works.
Demeter.
I think Hades would be kind of fun as a name.
I see in Layla, my dog's class, I think I told you last week that there's a dog who's massive. He's so big, but his name is Hercules.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was like, that's such a common name for big dogs, but
Well, what do you call him for short?
Herc.
Herc. Get over here, Herc.
Well, that's what they say in the movie.
Yeah.
God, I'm promoting this movie.
Everybody go watch Hercules tonight on Disney Plus. Or
wherever it's.
wherever
Is it still on Netflix?
Probably not, because I think they took all the Disney movies off once Disney Plus was created.
Oh.
But find
I
it
don't know.
somewhere.
Mm.
HBO, I don't know. Probably not.
No.
So Zeus was a major deity in ancient Greece, and he was honored in many ways. So a lot of people somehow loved him, of course, because he's king, has the title. You're gonna respect him.
You
Okay.
had to, or you're gonna get struck by lightning.
Right. Yeah, he's intense. He can strike you. He controls the weather. Just keep that in mind. So one way to honor him was the Olympic Games. So if you notice Olympus, okay, so they were being held, and they had him in Olympus, obviously at first, and then they created the statue of Zeus around that time as well. Throughout his life, Zeus took control of the sky and air. Many believe that he still is.
Mm-hmm.
So he's still taking control because obviously he's immortal. Okay, didn't die.
Can't die.
Can't die. Won't die ever. Still there.
Disgusting.
Next time it rains,
Mm.
it's Zeus. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, many believed him to be an omniscient presence, which means he observes everything from up above. Meaning, if he sees someone being good, he'll reward them with good behavior, while he'll also punish evil. Many in Greek mythology also refer to him as the Father.
Of course.
And it's like, oh god, this guy.
His ego must be massive.
Right. I know. Like, let's just make his ego even bigger. But, so that is Zeus. Is there anything you want to add? I know you love mythology.
He sucks.
He does suck.
He's just a very... I don't know how to put it. Like, he's got too much going for him, but not a lot.
Right.
Like, he's such a powerful guy, but, like, what else does he have?
Exactly. He just didn't, like you said, he didn't work much.
No. He was just friggin' messing around with women.
Yeah.
At that point, like, yeah, he controlled the skies, but when it came to that, like, he had help with that, because I know there was another god who...
He didn't even do it all.
No, he's
just king.
There was another god. Was it Helios? It was someone else who who would turn the night sky, who would turn night into day. And
Oh,
day into night.
yeah,
I
who was
can't
that?
remember who it was. Sorry.
Somebody.
James was trying to call me. Wonderful.
And then I just wanted to touch on a little bit more about Hera, just because.
Yeah.
Gotta talk about her, respect her.
Mm-hmm.
She was known because obviously she married Zeus, but she was the queen of the gods, so very in high regard.
That was her only title?
No, there were more.
Oh.
But she was just known to be the queen.
Oh.
Yeah. She was the goddess of marriage and birth, so it's kind of interesting that it's ironic that she's like goddess of marriage and then like her husband's just cheating on her constantly.
Well, then she's jealous too.
Right.
So it's like bad marriage.
Exactly. She is usually portrayed as being majestic and solemn, which I kind of like that mix. That's kind of fun. She was crowned with Apollos, which is a high crown worn by many of the great goddesses.
Mm-hmm.
Again, high power. Even before she was married to Zeus, she ruled over heaven and earth. So she was basically queen even before she knew him. This is my favorite fact. Zeus was scared of her because he knew her power. And I honestly think that's why he stayed married to her.
Well, and then she was afraid that he was more powerful.
Yeah, right.
Her.
So it's kind of like, okay, you're both kind of scared of each other.
I think they're afraid to have like a full-out battle with one another because they didn't want to give up their title.
Exactly. That's a big thing. It's all really about the title, I think.
Mm-hmm.
She really did not have a concept of justice and forgiveness. And like I said, so whenever something bad happened, it's over with. Like, and that was, I gave you one example of like how she destroyed somebody, but when Zeus also, he fell in love with Callisto, and she turned her into a bear. She's like, well, you guys can't get married.
Animals?
I know.
That's her
She
thing.
loved animals.
Yeah.
So
she must have had some respect to turn him into some sort of animal.
Exactly. So she's like, if you're an animal, you can't love Zeus.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Zeus could really just turn into that animal too, but
honestly.
So at one point when she was trying to overthrow Zeus, Zeus seized Hera and hung her in the sky by golden chains. Another time that this happened, again, we'll talk about.
How'd they forgive each other? Was she just hanging there like, hey, Zeus?
It's just a mess, bro. Like I said, therapy. They need therapy bad.
Oh my god.
Not gonna get it, but
that would help.
No, they just need to start over.
Right?
Fresh. And like I said, we'll talk about Heracles more. But she wanted to destroy him because he was Zeus's illegitimate son. So again, there's a lot of like jealousy, like.
Ooh, it was bad because she tried to murder him.
Yeah, so that's a story we'll have to get into later, but that's the basics of Zeus and Hera and just the intense love affairs. Ugh.
There's one that I want to mention. Medusa.
Oh, yes.
So Medusa was a very beautiful woman that Zeus just became infatuated with. And she was this beautiful woman. Everybody loved her. Like, she was just, anybody who passed her would just be like, oh my god, look at Medusa.
Yeah.
Hera got pissed at the jealousy of Zeus having an attraction towards her. And she was like, I'm going to make so that no one can look at you. And turned her into that serpent-like creature that if you looked at her, you would turn into stone.
So she did that.
Hera, I believe, if I'm getting it correct, let me know, was from Hera because of jealousy. So Hera turns all of the women into bears, but she had just some sort of just hatred for Medusa to turn her into such an ugly serpent-like creature that if you even remotely looked at her, you would turn into stone.
It seemed to be the ones that, like, she knew that Zeus was in love with, like, really infatuated by, not so much the ones that she was like, this probably will only be, like, a one-night thing. Like,
yeah. But it's just, like, really, Greek mythology is such a whirlwind. There's just a lot going on. There's a lot of family drama, and it's so sad that, like, even though they're just stories that we reflect on, and we kind of take from the morals of them.
Yeah.
It's just, like, they're still so messed up that they're taking these mortal lives that they want to protect and just make them worse. Because they're already making them worse from when they even get remotely angry. They take it out on the mortals who are just like trying to appease them.
Right. Trying to do what they can do.
Exactly. What did you learn today?
Don't mess with anyone in power. Just leave them alone. That's really what you gotta do.
Honestly, because it's...
What'd you learn?
Watch more of Hercules.
Yeah, honestly, like, that's... Everybody, go turn on Hercules.
It's not even remotely correct, but it's such a good movie. I love it. It's fun. What I really learned is that do not piss off.
Yeah. That's our biggest lesson.
Do not cross them. If you are going on a trek like Odysseus, don't do it, because they will ruin your life.
If you see their temples or their statues, whatever, don't mess with them.
Praise them. So if you're going to ancient Greece, if you're going to
Careful.
Greece, you can't go to ancient Greece because, it no longer exists. It's just Greece. If you're going to Greece, especially Athens, which is named by Athena.
I want to go there.
I would love to tell that story, but I would love to go to Athens. But if you cross any of their temples, give your tribute, because you never know.
Yeah, be careful out there, guys. You don't want to lose all your food.
No,
you don't want to turn into a bear.
Not in this hot weather. It's so freaking hot.
It's summer.
It's so hot. But thank you for joining us here on Historia. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll be back next week as usual. Don't worry, we're not disappearing.
It should be a nice, fun one again.
Yeah, and just keep in mind, we'll do more mythology. So if this is something you're really into, we're going to do more.
Let us know which one you want us to cover next, because there's so many that we can cover. And be as specific as you want to be too on specific gods and goddesses of whomever, because there's so many.
We will always take requests. That's just a rule of thumb. Like, if there's any ideas you have. For now, we have our Facebook page, so you can look up Historia the Podcast. It will be there. We also have an Instagram and a Twitter. All of the names are Historia the Podcast. Yes. So pretty simple. Just type that in. And follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Tweet us. Insta message us. Everything, all of that fun stuff. We'll have more things going soon, but we're starting with those.
Send us history memes, because I freaking get a kick out of them.
Yes, memes are the best. We also have our email, historiathepodcast@gmail.com. So if there's a specific request you want, or a story, maybe you have an experience with going to Greece or something cool like that, let us know.
Yeah,
maybe we'll share it here.
Yeah.
So
thank you for joining. Talk to you next week.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.